Two fear-inducing Koreans take to the stage today in Group D. However, their usual godlike stature presents vulnerability. Can our Europeans exploit that vulnerability here today? This is the World Championship Series Europe Premier League. My name's James Carroll, and as always, alongside Sean Clark.
MVP and San will play online from Korea today, which will definitely hinder their progress and give them a slight handicap joining today's group. Last time on the WCS, we saw two Challenger League players rise out through and advance out of their respective group. Can that happen today with Todd and uThermal looking to repeat the success that Harston showed previous?
Well, let's talk about today's group, Group D, and what a group it is, as we have a man who stood atop the world with another who tasted those dizzying heights before. It's San and MVP.
Yes, San on paper is head and shoulders above the rest in this group. He's ranked number 2 in Europe and ranked number 4 in the world. He's clinical, he's dangerous, and ruthless. You have to be on your top of your game to stop him, otherwise you won't. And a player who can sometimes be very similar to that is MVP. He returns for his 5th time within the Premier League, his 5th appearance. Every single Premier League so far, he's been a part of. Since his win in Season 1 last year, he has declined by season to season until last season, this year, where he really sparked up in performance. Not so much results, but he played incredible and he looked on top of his game. MVP's a champion, he's a warrior, he's a king.
Then we have our Europeans who know the burden on their opponent's shoulders, that's for sure. But can they exacerbate that is the big question. It's Todd and uThermal.
Todd is a different type of champion, a different type of warrior from a very different era within his career. But he joins us here for the 10th Premier League, I guess, if you can count his casting, but his 3rd Premier League appearance as a player, his 3rd attempt as a player, and his 3rd try to break into the top 16 within the World Championship Series. Tonight is a golden opportunity for him to do so. And the other player who has a golden opportunity to make himself heard today is uThermal, another Dutchman sitting in exactly the same position that Harston was last time. Like that, he's debuting. Like that, he's also an outlander, like Harston was. But can he follow in Harston's steps to advance from today's group?
And we'll find out. On the surface, Group D seems very clear-cut. But if Group C is anything to go by, like we saw in the last broadcast, it could be anything but. Let's take a look at today's matches and how they line up.
All right, it's time for the bracket. We will have 5 best of 3s like every single day for you. We'll be starting off with San versus uThermal, followed closely by, well, as some say, the highlight match of this evening, Todd versus MVP. The winners will go up against each other for a position in 1st place within Group D, and then the remaining 3 will go down to the lower bracket, to the pit, as we like to call it within the WCS, where they will fight for the 2nd slot in today's group.
All right, it's time, Sean. It's time for game number 1. Match number 1 of the day, and what a match is going to be. We have San and uThermal in that one.
I mean, just look at the screen. They are complete opposites of players, whether you compare their stats, their achievements, or simply their results on a daily basis. Completely different players. San will be entering this group, and more specifically this series, with a very detailed plan on to get the success he wants and needs. The problem with playing from Korea, which he'll have to fight today, is that it is harder to control your army, it's harder to micro, and it's harder to take these battles against good players. He'll be using strategies, or most likely will be using strategies which have a higher risk, but a higher reward. The thing with uThermal is he has to find out what those strategies are. He has to figure out the puzzle before the timer runs out.
And I really want to focus on these guys a little bit more. Let's go straight to San now and talk about this guy. This is a guy that, to me, has had the most fierce results as of late. He is an absolute monster.
San is one of the best Protoss players in the world. There's no doubt about that. Since October 2013, he's without a tournament finish lower than top 8. That's crazy impressive. That's remarkable to be able to achieve that. But there is common weakness when you look more specifically at his results over the last year, especially when he plays within the WCS. In Season 2 and 3 last year, he couldn't even get out a Challenger. last season, this year, when he was in Premier League in the round of 32, he narrowly escaped in second place, almost losing it twice in a row, advancing 2 wins to 1 loss of both games in the decider. Incredible. And there's something you got to look closely at that. He's in that same position again. He is vulnerable. But no doubt, if San advances out today, he will create raves to all the other contenders within the WCS. They don't want him to advance. They want to see him fall today.
Yeah, nobody wants to play this guy. But on the other side of things, it wouldn't be WCS Europe or a group in the round of 32 without our underdog. It's the Dutch player, uThermal.
Every WCS, there seems to be an underdog, and, well, recently they seem to be doing well for themselves.
Yeah.
uThermal is an up-and-comer who sits in the Lion's Den today. He's the second youngest player within the Premier League. And I remember back then being born in 1995, 5 years after that, we were celebrating the millennium. He was 5 years old at that point. Just think about that, incredibly young as a player. It took him 13 qualifiers, 13 attempts to be in the Premier League today. He is a man amongst giants. He is a mortal amongst men.
All right, it's time to get into it, guys, as we have now a game on the way for you. Match number 1, series number 1 of the day here in Group D between San and uThermal. And I think you painted it perfectly, Sean, in the fact that uThermal here, he's got to solve that puzzle. StarCraft in general is a giant puzzle, but more so here when you've got someone as scary as San.
Yeah, San is dangerous. This guy is feared by everybody. Nobody wants to play against him. Nobody wants to play against MVP, but you have to. uThermal has landed in a very difficult group today. It's going to be a tall task, but like we saw last time, Harston could do it. Can his fellow countrymen do the same? He's got to fight the Korean here for his chance to move through. And I don't know if it's going to be easy for him. Probably not. But he has to give it his best.
Yeah, we've seen it happen before here. Not too often, but that 4th seed has been able to propel themselves into the round of 16. All right, our first map is going to be Overgrowth for this first series of the day in Group D. And I'm looking forward to it. This group's really kind of dynamic. A lot of diversity here in this group. Again, always a pleasure seeing San play and what he's going to bring. But there is always that aspect of he is playing from Korea.
Yes, he is. And that's why, as mentioned before, his strategies will be really refined today. So expect plays like Oracle, DTs, Blink, something aggressive that if it doesn't work, he's in trouble. But if it does, he'll be in a lead.
All right, let's get into it. Game number 1 now, as we have Overgrowth loaded up and good to go. We have spawning up to the top right-hand corner, Red Protoss representing Your Flash Wolves. It is San. And down to the bottom left-hand corner, our Blue Terran representing AT Gaming. It's uThermal.
All right, so let's see how this is going to shape up today. Not too sure what's wrong with the ratio there in game, but I'm sure we'll have a look and have a fix in a little bit here. What do you do you think uThermal's going to do something wild or just play standard?
uThermal? I think he kind of has to just ward himself against any kind of aggression that's going to come along in this game, because he has to anticipate something, you know, a bit more aggressive coming from his opponent, surely.
Surely. All right, so we'll figure out how this is going to shape up now in the next couple of moments here. I'm expecting a very reactionary style from uThermal, Kalaris. Very reactionary. So Reaper opening, fantastic to do. And then just play scans, like lots of scans, figure out what San's up to. Because like mentioned before, if you do figure out what San's up to, that's where you're going to have your best chance to stop this guy in his tracks before he gets too comfortable. San will be feeling pressure in this series. He'll be feeling a little bit worried that he is playing from Korea. He'll be feeling the effects of it, and we'll be looking to finish this as fast as possible. Right, so Reaper opening going to commence here. As you can see, 12 barracks and 12 gas coming out from uThermal. And just a single gas so far from San. I would have thought that he would have taken double gases early on. Does offer him a lot of options and opportunities to start thinking about what strategies he can use here. But we'll see where San's going to take this here. uThermal is actually scouting around, funny list. He's actually scouting around his natural, looking to see if there's any proxies. Likewise on the right-hand side here as well. Does not want to lose to anything too early on. I wonder if he's going to play factory or regular barracks behind this. Couple of regular follow-ups he can do. But he has taken out a gas, so it is going to be a barracks follow-up here. So it will be Reaper into the command center, followed by extra barracks. And, well, San going to be placing down his Nexus. So one gas Nexus expansion here from him. And then the Mothership Core follow-up. Reaper's on its way to figure out what's going on, as he hasn't sent out an SCV scout yet, and will be looking to figure out what San's up to, as he's now taken that second gas. And we will soon start to figure out what San's up to.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what San's actually going to bring today. I mean, if we are looking for some kind of aggressive moves from him, so far he's happy to just go for an expansion. But if we recall how like Korean players have actually played sometimes from Korea, some of them have just opted completely to go for standard games, so we can't really rule that out either.
Yeah, look at this. Thermal's actually using a build that Flash has used a lot within Pro League, and a couple of other Korean Terran players. Instead of going for faster barracks here, he's gone for a faster engineering bay, which is good for two different things that San could potentially do, Oracle and also DT play, but it also allows him to go for a very fast +1 attack here. And he'll be able to hit with his timing, which is very regular, which is about, 9-10 minutes in the game, with 1-1 instead of just +1 attack. It's a nice little benefit there.
Yeah, and he did see that Twilight Council at the back, so this is a good pickup for uThermal. And also, going back to the +1 weapons that you were mentioning before, we're seeing, the move away from armor a little bit more in a matchup like this, right? Because it just doesn't really soak up as much as you would like to against those big, hard-hitting units of Protoss. So we might not even see that go. He just might go for +2 attack right after that.
Well, this Reaper, with spotting the Twilight Council, knows that Blink and DTs are the two options that San has to choose from. Blink, most likely here. The one disadvantage with uThermal going for this engineering bay is he's lower on units than he should be. He only has a handful of Marines, that's it. Just 6 Marines for the time being. And now, well, not even going up to Marauders, surprising there. He's just going for Marines. But they will have +1 attack by the time, a move should come in here from San.
It's a lot of firepower he's going to have available to him. Blink Stalkers now on the way. A lot of Blink Stalkers being warped in. Once Blink is finished. That goes down the Reaper. Didn't really get much information off the back of that.
Yeah, only 3 gateways for the time being. His probe count's kind of high, which would really power up to more gateways if he wanted to from this point. I wonder where he's going to go. He also can start to fall back onto extra gases here. Yeah, he's going to fall back on extra gases, so it's just light pressure into, from what we imagine, just a follow-up kind of tech.
Well, as you mentioned, there's the gases on the way. There's a pylon down here if he wanted to get aggressive. Probe did get spotted in the middle of the map, though for uThermal. So that gives him a bit of a heads up as to what could be coming in his way. Oh no, he's sending a Marine down towards that pylon.
He sees in the middle of the field 2 Stalkers and a Mothership Core. To the right-hand side, he didn't quite spot the probes or pylon or Stalkers there, but he knows this attack is coming. +1 attack is done.
Yeah, starts the armor as well behind this. Needs every little bit he can get out of this position. But that bunker is nowhere near completion. Those Stalkers are going to have an absolute field day on this location. Marine's now moving forward to try and push this away. He definitely wants that bunker to finish. Brings another SCV to start that. Tries to chase the Mothership Core down, and, well, no cigar just there.
No, and so far so good for uThermal. Just has to keep on holding.
Yeah, more Marines trying to just pile on forwards. Behind this, San is transitioning on. He's still continuing that Stalker pressure, but he's got Robo and Dark Shrine behind all of this.
Yeah, uThermal really needs to start thinking about his starport. Just now and on, he needs to get up to the starport. That's where the counter-attack possibilities are really going to be nice for him, when he can get Medivacs out to heal his units. He's going to be stimming to defend. He's going to be using stim to further push himself out too. He needs the healing abilities here, but DTs could prove a problem.
Yeah, nice attempt at killing off some of those SCVs whilst trying to poke away at the front, and that Warp Prism now in production.
This is a cool play from San. So he's expecting to start to back off soon, and then he's going to defend with the Mothership Core Stalkers and whatever he has left over on his natural while playing a counterattack. Similar to how Harston was playing when a player moves out, a Terran player moves out to come and get you, then he can plant the Warp Prism inside your main base and deal damage with drops and stuff. This is going to be more deadly because he's investing, obviously, gas into it, which means he doesn't have Colossus, splash damage, anything else to help on the front, but he's able to do massive damage in the main base. Yep. So all he has to do is hold the front door, which is the natural nexus with the photon overcharging units, while dropping these DTs in.
Yep. Scary, scary times about to approach for uThermal. Got to be on top of this because he didn't get a missile turret in his main base, so that's going to be pretty vulnerable. He doesn't have a third command center on the way anytime, so his scans are going to be quite limited. So this is going to be difficult to really deal with.
All right. Well, If he doesn't deal with this very well, he's going to take a lot of damage.
Yeah.
A lot of damage
Oh,
here.
he's moving out with his full force.
Yeah, and the Warp Prism's in. DT in, and he's limited on scans, and he only has that single turret on the natural. He's in trouble.
Yep. Now finds out that the Dark Templar is in the main base, pulls all those SCVs away, but his entire army through the middle of the map is just going for it. It's not turning around. It can't. It's too far out of position at this point.
Is San going to have enough to defend at home, though? Photon overcharge, Zealots without charge, bear in mind, does have +1 armor. These units are at 1-1.
Now that DT gets killed off in the main base. And, well, if he has the right force fields and the right photon overcharge, this is going to be a relatively easy hold. Yeah, this should be an easy hold. He has even the first Colossus only about 15 seconds away as well. Yeah, this is a really good setup here so far from San.
But the uThermal didn't take too much damage to the DT. If you think about it, he lost, what, 1 or 2 SCVs and then scanned and killed it off. He's got a turret in the main base now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he didn't lose as much as what he could have potentially lost to put him much further behind. So he's in an okay position.
And one of the factors that came into that was +1 armor helps out actually quite a lot against Dark Templars. If you do have that +1 armor there without +1 weapons being finished from a Protoss, then those SCVs are going to survive a single swing.
Yeah, so it takes 3 hits instead of 2, makes them survive a lot longer.
Well, it's going to continue here now and tries to go in once again with a few Zealots, but that does get pushed away. Still Colossus numbers rising behind this, though.
Yeah, this is a decent position. I mean, this is not terrible for either side, to be honest. If you look at the supply count, it's okay. The +2 attack is on its way and Viking production beginning. With the amount of investment that San threw into the Dark Shrine without major success, his Colossus tech is quite delayed, and then kind of his future Templar Archives tech is therefore delayed because the Colossus was delayed. So the Viking count can rise quite rapid in this game, and I would not be surprised to see uThermal potentially look for that sort of timing. He's got a high army count already. The Viking count is rising. Hellbat's been added in. He might decide to pull the boys later on.
Yeah, he may do. That would...
I mean, he's at 5 barracks. That's a ton of units he's producing.
Yeah.
And if he hits before the Templar Archives is even in.
And like, where is the 3rd command center, you know? Ghost Academy going down during all of this?
Yeah.
The 3rd command center is getting extremely late. I mean, as is the 3rd Nexus to a certain degree, but that's just the tempo of this game right now.
Yeah. And, I mean, San needs to start thinking about potential attacks like this. He realizes his opponent has a high unit count already. He knows it's 5 barracks before a 3rd command center, so he knows that the unit count is rising up. The other way to deal with this is just to have a super high unit count and also be able to pick down the Vikings fast enough, but that can be risky here. And without the Templar Archives coming in, that's really his only way to deal with this so far.
Yeah, normally I'd say with these 3 Ghosts, it will be go time for uThermal, but 6 Vikings against 3 Colossi? I think he has to wait a little bit longer, right?
Yes. Yeah, he needs about 8 to 10 here, usually. It's harder to crack down the Colossus fast enough before they deal enough damage.
Grabs himself an Observer. That's a nice pickup. That will keep him in the dark just a little bit. I think those 2 more, I'm not sure what they were doing, but the 3rd is now going down for San.
The timing for uThermal should be when +2 attack and +1 attack finishes for his Vikings here, ideally.
All right, we'll still maneuvering around in the
he's
middle.
pulling the boys. With the 3 Ghosts coming out, this is it. He doesn't have a super high Viking count, as you said. It's only, well, it's at 8, which is decent, I guess.
Yeah.
And San has no Storm, nothing here. He's really going to have to rely on trying to deal out as much damage as possible before it's too late.
How many Viking? Okay, so he does have the 8 Vikings now. 2 more going to rendezvous. That +1 weapons finishes up just in time as this engagement is about to happen. As San here is looking to just push on forwards a little bit, trying to claim himself some of this. Well, the uThermal tries to claim himself some of this high ground, but this is a big, big concave here for San. Comes in from a large, large angle. A lot of that bio on the right-hand side, though, is not being connected with for the 4 Colossi. But the Colossus are just doing so much damage before the Vikings can actually get their full job done. And uThermal's forced to retreat out for just a little bit.
Yeah, he's forced to retreat out, but the Colossus are gone.
Yeah. Hey, killing those off is nice.
Yeah, but I mean, ideally he should have killed them off faster, which is why it didn't work out as well. But Zealot Charge is done. Zealot Charge is a great upgrade. +2 armor's also done now.
He's going to have to stim a micro back against this. It's very, very heavy in the Zealots, this. So if he continues on with that kind of play...
DT's in the mix too. He needs a scan to get rid of those. They're dealing out a lot of damage there.
Yeah, he hasn't realized it. There he does now drop the scan, but there's a Colossus to help out this as well. The probes did get pulled off the line as he realizes he has to sacrifice a few. A lot of SCVs were sacked.
He's breaking through.
And there you go. GG, uThermal takes game number 1.
A player who is ranked 97 within the WCS takes out in map number 1 the player who's ranked 4th. And trends continue to be followed here. Patterns are being created. Europe fighting back.
It was a good move there by uThermal, obviously. Pull in the boys, then going to hook him in the Gabba and do pretty well for themselves there. So uThermal takes game number 1 with that SCV pull off the 2 bases.
Yeah.
But in the end, San kind of had to.
But when we come back, so will map 2 and also fixed issues.
Thanks for bearing with us, guys, whilst we solve the technical issues that we have here. Let's go straight into game number 2 now. It has already begun, but we made sure that they paused it so we didn't miss any of the action here. As we have spawning up to the top right-hand corner are red Protoss. It is your Flash Wolves, San.
Yeah.
And down to the bottom left-hand corner, we have 80 Gaming's uThermal, currently 1 game up here. So 1-0 to uThermal.
1-0 to uThermal. So this is pretty big. This is a big start to the day. Upsets and unexpected things just keep on happening within the WCS. We saw that a lot last year because we saw players get knocked out very early, but we're seeing very different things this time too. We've seen Hearthstone go through. We saw also, you know, the way that it's been playing out is very different and very fun to watch so far. And maybe today can be the same. We are going to see a Reaper opening again here for uThermal, who may be pulling the boys again.
Maybe.
Very straight cutthroat play from him last time.
If it works, you know, if it's not broken, why fix it? Let's go. Pull the boys, man. Whatever.
Double gas opening from San, though. Doesn't look like he's messing around now. You know, he tried a blink play, tried DTs. Both of them kind of didn't work out as well as expected. With the blink play, the way that he did it, it's okay because you fall back to a high probe count and all 4 gases, and you can move on from there quite easily. But I really think the Dark Templar play hurt him more than it hurt uThermal.
Yeah.
He didn't get anything done with them. It's a big investment. He slows down himself from getting up to Zealot Charge fast enough, or Temporal Archives faster, or Colossus faster, and unfortunately slowed himself down while uThermal was able to capitalize with a decent timing.
I mean, even if +1 armor hadn't finished and those Dark Templars were still one-shotting SCV after SCV, it would have only been 2 extra SCVs that would have died. That's not going to change much, right? So uThermal just played it out well, even though he didn't have the ultimate defense in place for it. He reacted right. Maybe San didn't quite well control those DTs because they were kind of messing around near the missile turret in the main base. But overall, uThermal comes out on top and does well. Yeah,
he's a really good up-and-coming player. He's been doing very well for himself recently, really rising within the Netherlands scene and really looking to put a mark and kind of tell everybody who he is within the European scene now. Of course, all the professional players do know him as they play him on ladder day in, day out, but now you guys are starting to get a bit of his action here, and he started off really well. Same build as last time. It's going to be the Reaper expansion, followed by the fast engineering bay here.
All right, the back, probably getting that +1 weapon, rocketing up in turn, and then we now have that Reaper poking on in, sees the expansion. We'll probably get quite a bit of intel in the main as well.
Will he get the Twilight Council scout early?
That's true, though.
Looks like it. He's going to go all the way around the back.
Yeah, looking to sneak on around there.
Ooh, no, he flicks back.
Yeah,
doesn't get it.
Could have spotted it, but doesn't want to risk it.
All right. So far it's been hidden. Is this going to be Blink or Dark Templar this time? Could be either.
I mean, the scary thing about San is if he actually goes for his blink play, he can he didn't go for the full committal in that game, maybe because things got scouted out and it didn't fall quite into his plans. But even though he didn't fully commit, he can fully commit, and that's really, really scary as a Terran player to go up against. And we've seen San do it better than almost anybody on the planet.
So far, he's doing it really well. He's hit everything to the perfect timing. It hasn't been spotted. Even his second gas hasn't been spotted yet. So uThermal is very much so in the dark. He may even throw a scan down into the main base to try to figure out what's going on because he just can't get in there with the Reaper. And the Reaper time has passed. You can't get in there anymore with the Reaper. There's 2 Stalkers. There's the scan. He sees the Twilight Council, so now he knows he's playing against the exact same thing as last time. There's a probe and a pylon down at the south point of this map already. He defended well last time. Can he do the same again? But I think what we'll see from San is exactly the same, but without the Dark Templar follow-up. I think he'll use a more traditional follow-up to this.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense here, especially with, no extra gateways going down, of just the 3 to continue on with this. Technically, if he fully committed, this tech lab is very, very vulnerable in terms of its positioning and placement, but uThermal's not going to give up this ground, this location. He has his Marines well poised and well positioned to greet anything.
Yeah, he's got a Marauder out, which is always nice to have here. Is he going to be able to keep the defense up? San hasn't taken any extra gases yet, and he's not really ramping out the probes either, so he is committing to this a little bit more than previous. He's just going to have a decent Stalker count with another 3 being warped in. And if uThermal stops this and gets a lead, this is big for the Dutch player.
Only one Marine in that bunker, though. Starts focusing it down, pulls the SCVs, but does fall.
Yeah, and we're going to see a time warp here, most likely. Oh, we didn't use it yet. He's gonna. Oh, is he gonna go in the main base?
That's a big force. He actually could use this as a potential exploit and then throw down a time warp on the ramp if he sees the opportunity to. Oh, he actually goes for the time warp here, though. Blinks the back of those Stalkers. One of them was almost dead, but one does end up falling in the end. Trying to continue this on, but this is a fantastic trade here for San.
Oh, this is beautiful for San. This is wonderful for San. That is almost everything gone. That's it. Over like that, and San immediately bounces back and equalizes the series up.
And again, coming back to what we said before, San can do it like the best of them. And that was off 3 gateways. That was only 3 Stalkers warping in at a time. And there was so much power behind it if you just slip up the positioning just a little bit.
And it definitely seemed that uThermal, through having a lower unit count with getting the faster engineering bay here, was taking a little bit of a risk. Only 1 Marine or so in each bunker. His units more so inside the main base. So if we were to see San commit to the main base, he'd be much better off because that's where the units were. But it was to the natural. The bunker got stopped and not repaired in time. And once that's cracked down, it is hard to kind of prevent this attack. And San really fights back here, and he needs this.
Yeah.
He needs to be able to stop uThermal, otherwise San is going to be in big, big trouble. As mentioned, if San breaks through the round of 32, he could be unstoppable this season. He's looking for a big win here, and I definitely think he could achieve it if he can get past this round.
Yeah, and even more so, the fact that San is focusing so heavily on this season. He has actually dropped and given up his spot for TESL over in Taiwan to fully focus on this tournament and this one alone. Last season, he was still doing some TESL stuff, etc., some other tournaments, but this time, full focus is on WCS Europe. Full focus and attention is going into these games.
But one thing we can say for uThermal is that he's not just a walkover so far in today's group. He's taken one map, and he really is kind of following in Harston's steps so far. Can he continue the trend? Can he flip this group upside down like what we saw in Group C? Definitely a potential here with the Europeans fighting back against the Koreans. 2 Koreans, 2 Europeans. 1-1 so far between the both of them.
All right, and game number 3 is going to be on King Sejong Station. These past 2 games have been fast and furious, a little bit more of a acceleration in comparison to what we've been seeing in the past couple of groups, which we've had some long, long series. But as you said before, San's not messing around. So let's get into game number 3 now as we find out which one of these guys is going to be moving on to the winners series. As we have spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner are Red Protoss representing Yo Flash Wolves. It is San. And up to the top left-hand corner are Blue Terran representing 80 Gaming. It's uThermal.
All right. So who's going to get that ticket to the winners match? Is it the Dutch, the Flying Dutchman, or San? This map, this is a decent map. I played a couple of times on it on both sides. Can be difficult to deal with good drops and so on, but uThermal's taken a very different approach. I mean, in game number 1 was a timing. In game number 2, he was killed off here. I wonder how he's going to approach this. I thought he'd be playing a lot more reactionary and then just looking for a massive opportunity, but look at the waypoint of the command center. It's for a gas first. Oh no, is it?
Seems so.
Look at this. Like, he's given the fight to San when it was meant to be really the other way around when you think about how this series is meant to play out. San is the player who's meant to be using the multiple strategies that Protoss has. And he's scouting very early here, which is good for him. Because he's going to spot this and start to be able to deal with it. So what this is from the uThermal is a very fast gas leading to a very fast factory. So this can be a fast Widder mine drop that can come expected, especially the way San's playing it, Twilight Council based. There's no detection. So it would hit faster and more dangerous. He can also use them defensively too. So it could be that, and it also could be for a Hellion-based strategy too, to get the damage done before San can really get momentum going. But it's going to be spotted.
Yeah.
Which means San can really start to react to how uThermal's playing. And if San doesn't take damage to this, San would be in a lead.
Good eyes on it very, very quickly here for San. Really taking, I mean, not a whole lot of risks in the early stages of this 3rd game. We could see, once again, him get aggressive towards the mid-game, but for now, sees everything that's going on, sees the factory even go down right in front of his eyes, so...
Yeah. And as the Terran player here, your heart does sink a little bit because you would have liked this to have gone unscouted. A lot of Protoss players don't really scout that fast. We haven't really seen San scout this fast, especially on a 2-player map where he already knows where his opponent is. But San is going to play 1 gateway expansion with 1 gas as well. So much more economic focus. He's also going to hide a probe here. I'm not too sure what this is for yet, whether it be for a poke-in to figure out what the follow-up strategy is, whether it be for a proxy pylon and potential proxy tech structure.
Yeah, could be for that later pylon. We'll see what he wants to do as well. There's the starport here. With the Widow Mines now coming out for uThermal, so he's pretty much... I kind of like the idea of Widow Mines here in terms of what he's been going up against the past couple of games. Like, well, Twilight Council. Okay, then that leaves you with not much detection to begin with.
You think San would change now, though? You think San would play with a robotics facility upon realizing the threat here?
Yeah, after seeing exactly what he's seen. I mean, why not? There's the pylon up to the north. What is he going to do with this? This is early.
I mean, he could use a Stargate still up there, but he's gone for the Robo, which is okay here. What he can also do is use this pylon for a reinforcement. If he defends well initially versus... Okay, so what I think San's going to do, he'll defend well initially with the robotics facility. He'll probably get a fast couple of gateways in here to really get the unit count up. But with a good defense, he could turn this into a counterattack. Pylon's already up there.
Ooh.
Sees the Widow Mine and also does a bit of friendly damage to the Hellion here. And already pulling probes back.
Yeah.
Fast double gateways here. He's going to defend and go for a counterattack here. Use that pylon up there. He's lost the probe, which is a little bit of a nuisance.
But now this Hellions and the Medevac are on the way, so got to be a bit careful. We might see him try an elevator. I mean, he doesn't know anything about his opponent, what he's done or anything like that. So we'll see what he wants to choose to do.
So far, no observers out. Only just now being built. Only 2 stalkers. This probe spots the movement in. Photon overcharge is ready. Natural or main. Here we go. Here's the boost. And he's actually going to put the Widow Mine on the ramp here. The Stalkers are on the wrong side.
Yeah, that's a bit annoying. Oh, does have the Observer, though. But again, if he actually dropped a scan, he could snipe that out. But he has very limited access to scan, so that's kind of scary.
Yeah, Widow Mine gone.
Yeah.
Photon overcharge active. Good defense so far.
Really, really impressive defense, actually. I mean, these Stalkers can now kite against these Marines pretty well.
Oh, Hellions come in too.
Yeah. They're going to try and do some damage on this left-hand side. Bunker being thrown down as well here by uThermal. Very, very aggressive. One of the Stalkers gets brought down. He was actually blocking with his Hellions there to try and catch some of those Stalkers.
But now there's 3 gateways up. Oh, he may lose that Hellion. I mean, lose the Stalker. Oh, he saves it. And gets out. And this is stopped.
All right. This didn't go all too well for uThermal in the end, considering that his command center behind this was so slow, right?
And look at this. The counterattack's on.
Uh-oh.
No bunker yet.
So close.
Yeah, he's so close with this. That probe escaping out earlier. As expected, good defense into a counterattack can be very difficult to stop here.
Oh, he was almost looking for that medevac there. It's very, very low. He has to keep that very, very well babysat. And no, he just let that die.
Bunker completed.
Yeah, and needs to bring that the Stalkers as well, does San. Just keeping those alive against this Marauder and a few Marines. Now the extra Stalkers move on in. He hasn't been making this bunker the whole time.
Without that bunker, Kalaris, he can't really stop. This is almost impossible to stop. There's going to be another round of Stalkers coming in. There's a Zealot to tank a lot of damage and to tank the Marauder shots.
Yeah.
uThermal's in trouble.
There's just not a lot to do here. Pulls the boys, but not for the same reason as in game number 1, as uThermal now tries to hold on against this. He gets a bit of surface error on some of these Stalkers down to the south, killed off the Zealot to the north, but even a Viking gets brought down because...
Stim is only 30 seconds away. It's not too far away. But there's SCVs that are going down, and probes are being made behind this. Another Zealot gets walked in to help here. A Sentry would actually be nice to cut this up a little bit too, but he is taking the high ground, which is nice. But there is an Observer, I suppose, so not that nice.
I was wondering why he was making Vikings in comparison to a Medevac, which would really, really help out at this point, but did cancel the Viking, goes for the Medevac.
So many SCVs going down.
Yeah, too many at this point. 15 have died off. There you go. GG. San
recovers.
Yeah, it was a blip on the radar, and then all of a sudden he's like, right, okay, time to turn it on.
Interesting approach here from uThermal, but he was committed as soon as the game started. As soon as he decided that refinery first, he was committed. It was scouted early by San, which gave him a heads up. And, well, San kind of knew how to play this out from there. Deal with the incoming attack and then launch a counter. And it worked. And San finds himself in the winner's match.
Yeah, good job by him. A lot of people anticipating him going through there, but uThermal gave him a bit of a run for his money, that's for sure. Showing that he's not going to be a pushover in this group.
No, he's not. But We're going to be going to a break shortly, but when we come back, this is the series that a lot of people have been looking forward to. Todd takes on MVP. I'm very excited for this one.
So am I. So join us after the break, guys, when we have Series 2 of Group D.